Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sttreakers Island Podcast. It is I, Jacob Moore, the self-proclaimed sports analyst. And the rest of the panel is sick and tired of Dan and I. So it's just myself and Mr. Moore for your money.
Woo!
And we have a action-packed next 27, 28 minutes to go over with you, everyone. So, of course, we have the CFL game tonight, which is the Saskatchewan Roughriders versus the BC Lions. BC Lions are desperate for a win here, eh, Dan?
Oh, they are. Like, we gotta figure something out here. But if Saskatchewan takes this win, they can really start putting a stranglehold on the West.
Well, and the thing is, I think there's pressure on Saskatchewan, too, because Winnipeg just got another win this week, right? Even though it wasn't as easy as people may thought it was going to be. At the end of the day, they got a win. Plus, we're also hearing a lot of trade rumors in the NHL, so we're going to try to touch base on those as well today.
Yeah, a couple of trades have happened today. The biggest one, of course, being Mr. Gibson going to Detroit for Peter Mrazek and a couple of draft picks. And we're all wondering here, why did Edmonton not do that but sign Trent Frederick to an 8-year contract? So if someone has some insight on that, I would appreciate it because I do not get it at all.
That certainly is $1 million question, I got to say, because like when I look at what Edmonton needs, I think they needed John Gibson a lot more than they needed Trent Frederick. Now, I've seen some people say, well, why not just trade Evander Kane for John Gibson? Well, because
Detroit didn't want that.
Anaheim wouldn't have wanted that deal.
Well, Anaheim, yeah.
Right? Because Evander Kane pretty much was either going to go to Vancouver or stay where he is. I don't think there are many teams that wanted his services at his salary. Vancouver has the cap space. And
well, Anaheim would have the cap space too.
Vancouver's in a rebuilding mode.
So is Anaheim.
Yeah, but I don't see Anaheim wanting a guy like Evander Kane on their roster.
Why not say it, Fireman?
He just doesn't really fit what they're looking for. They're looking for more young speed, even though they got rid of Trevor Zegras, because Zegras has never really worked there. But yeah, I'm very confused about Detroit. I mean, Edmonton not getting John Gibson. For Detroit, I think this is a great option. You finally go ahead, Dan.
So now is this the end of Detroit being the land of mediocre goaltendings?
Let's hope, because Gibson should be that stable goaltending you need.
I would hope so.
Like, you know, you look over his numbers in Anaheim over the last couple of years, they've been pretty good.
Yep. Not the last couple of years, Anaheim's kind of sucked, but the years when they were a decent team, they had some good numbers.
Memory serves me right, which I'm looking it up right meow. I don't believe his stats were that bad even this year. He's now with Detroit.
He's a lot this year.
Yeah, like still though, in 29 games, 11 wins, a 2.77 goals against average, and a .912 save percentage on a bad team.
That's true. That's pretty good.
That's not that bad.
That's pretty good.
And like you look at his career statistically, he's only had 2 years under a .900 save percentage in his whole career. So he's going to bring in some steady, stable goaltending for Detroit. And I wonder, does John Gibson get back into as one of the top-tier goalies in the league form on a team that can actually win some games?
I don't know if Detroit's really that good yet, though. That's the hiccup.
Better than Anaheim.
Yeah, better than Anaheim, but with John Gibson over a playoff team, I don't know.
I'd say yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Because if we look at the NHL standings here, which I'm pulling them up on one of my multiple screens. You look at Detroit, they had finished with 86 points, where Montreal finished with 91. So they were only 5 points behind. Bring in a real goaltender. Yeah. You probably push in closer to Ottawa around that 97-point mark.
For sure.
So I do legitimately feel this was the missing piece for Detroit to become not a cup contender. Now, mind you, though, Detroit still might be losing Patty Kane.
Right. That's the number.
Right.
Now we still have a few days until July 1st. July 1st is technically, what, Monday?
It's Tuesday, Dan.
Sorry, Tuesday. So we got this weekend to...
Hashtag read a calendar.
Yeah, I know. So we actually got a long weekend to get everyone locked up. So...
But I mean, I don't know if we'll quickly talk about the Leaf rumors, then we'll get into the CFL game tonight. I'm not sure if you've been hearing it, Dan, but it looks like Mitch Marner could be potentially doing a sign and trade with Vegas.
I still don't see it. I don't see Marner fitting Vegas's DNA. I know Vegas likes to make the big splash every year, but there's still some good, solid players. Like, I can see Blockbuster being more a Vegas type of player.
No.
You know, I don't get it with Mitch Marner. I don't get the love affair with him. I mean, if we get a draft, what are we going to get for him? Like a draft pick, if that?
No, it's looking Nicholas Waugh. Very dependable bottom six forward. And if you can't bring in a good second line center for the team this year, I think John Tavares is a serviceable second line center still, which the Leafs locked up 4 years, 4.3 something million.
Oh, I think John Tavares is a great second line center. He still had like 70 points last year, like more than 70 actually. I think it's around 76, but you know, I think he's more.
So Dan, it looks like people are agreeing with you in the comments. Saying that, you know, they don't get the love affair of Mitch Marner at all. I'm not a big Mitch Marner fan, and I haven't been a Mitch Marner fan. Almost called him something else there. I don't want to say on the air, but I've not been a Mitch Marner fan even back when he was a part of the London Knights. I've never felt he really has that extra oomph. He's a hell of a player, but Vegas, I think, back-to-back years losing to Edmonton, they're just going to want to make a really big splash. And Adam W. is saying, according to Darren Dreger, there is still nothing decided on who Vegas is sending back. Okay, see, I believe it was from Elliot Friedman, that was Nicholas Waugh. So
Nicholas Waugh would be nice to the league.
Now, there's also rumors, though, about this trade turning into a three-way trade, because, you know, three-ways are the best way to have a party, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. You were hearing Rasmus Anderson is in the mix. Whether he goes to Toronto or Vegas, that's still yet to be seen. Timu is just letting me know, by the way, I could get seat covers $300 off today.
That $300 for seat covers off. No, why am I going to start for a seat cover?
They're like those fancy ones that you see on the Facebook ads all the time.
Yeah, but $300 off? Wait, $1,000 seat covers?
No, they're like, Timu will randomly give you stuff for free just to try to get you to buy something off their site.
Oh, weird.
But anyway, here we go. Look, Sttreakers Island Podcast. No, not toilet seat cover.
Oh my God.
Car. You gotta, like, my daily car, which is an Escalade, it's very old. It's not nice. It was painted, half of it was painted black with a rattle spray can for no reason. The seats are all ripped. So I'm like, maybe I'll buy some seat covers. But then I'm like, I don't want to spend $400 on this truck. I don't care. So I'm just leaving it alone. But either way, it'll be interesting to see what happens with this Mitch Marner situation. Dan, you don't think Marner's doing a sign and trade?
Why would he?
Why
mean,
not?
Obviously he doesn't care about the team. Obviously, after canceling a charity event, he doesn't care about the city. Obviously, he doesn't care about his fans. Why would he do anything to help out Toronto? Why would he do anything to help Toronto at this point?
Yeah, but it would also help him because it makes it he can sign one extra year. And let's say Vegas is willing to pay him like
he doesn't want a long-term contract.
If Vegas is saying it depends. If Vegas says I will give you $15 million over 8 years, he's going to take that.
Can they do that?
They can do whatever. Yeah, I believe the max is 15. I saw something but not confirmed. I think they need to dump salary for it to work with the cap. Yeah, I believe Vegas does need to dump some salary. If I remember right, Vegas doesn't have. That's the thing. Mitch Marner, he wants to get paid top dollar and he wants to go to a winning team. Unfortunately, you usually can't do both. Right?
Well,
I would love to make $10 million a month and never have to work a day in my life, but that's not going to happen.
Is that where the third team comes into trade?
That's where I believe Calgary comes into play.
Because Toronto doesn't have salary space either, right?
But it depends, though, who Vegas is willing to move to. There's been rumblings about Shea Theodore being on the way out of Vegas.
Yeah.
So let's say, so hear me out. Let's say Shea Theodore goes to Calgary. Rasmus Anderson goes to Toronto, Vegas, and then to Toronto, and then the trade rights for Marner goes to Vegas.
Like,
and then you trade. Sorry, Dan, but then you trade Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and you have Rasmus Anderson instead.
Yeah, but there's still a big difference in salary, isn't there?
But it's clear Shea Theodore is around 8, so that's clearing a lot of cap space.
Right.
So That's the thing. Being an NHL GM is a lot more complicated, I feel, than it is when you're just playing NHL 25 in your basement.
That's why
they're just going to make sure the guys get quote unquote injured until the playoffs to sign Marner. That's what Tampa pulled. However, so this is a very interesting comment here. So in the new NHL CBA coming out, this rule will no longer be a thing after, I believe, next season, where you will have to have your team under the salary cap every game in the playoffs.
Good.
Which, because the last, I think it was either 5 or 6 seasons, we've seen it where the team that wins the Stanley Cup is over the cap, I believe, by between $8.5 to $10 million.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Which, personally, the NHL says they need to fix the playoff format, and they think this is going to do it. I'm not quite God, but you're welcome. But I agree. That's something that's got to be fixed. I think personally, the NHL wants to get a better playoff outcome. We need to go back to the old playoff format. I will keep harping that until Gary Bettman either listens to me or retires. I want to see 1 versus 8, and I'm adding something else to that. I want to see a crossover like we see in the CFL. So let's say, for example, the Calgary Flames would have made the playoffs instead of the Montreal Canadiens. How would that not be? Are you not entertained? Like, that would be entertaining.
Well, Chazzy would be upset.
Well, that's okay. He's not here to defend it. He's drinking margaritas at the trailer. Didn't bring me. I said I'd be his carry-on. But no. Well, fine, Chazzy. I'm going to Ottawa. I'm going to Ottawa, and you can't come. So... But yes, absolutely. I'm very happy about that being changed in the CBA, along with a 84-game season, which I'm going to have another complaint. And Dan, I think I've talked to you about this off camera, but I'm curious about the comments, thoughts, and your thoughts. Instead of 2 more regular season games, the last wild card spot between like whoever gets the second one and whoever's battling for it should have a mini best of 3 series instead. So can you imagine before the playoffs start, we have a mini best of 3 between Calgary and St. Louis and Montreal and Columbus. Whoever wins those 2 series makes the playoffs in a best of 3.
Would be pretty sweet.
To me, that's just more exciting. And I think you're talking about they're trying to get TV ratings up. They're trying to get more butts in seats because everyone acts like, and actually I'm sorry I keep comparing it to the Canadian Football League, but I'm going to. Everyone acts like the CFL is the only league that has an attendance problem, and that's just not the truth at all. No one's going to NBA games. The NHL Stanley Cup Finals in Florida, at least, I could look an hour before puck drop and get a seat for about $100.
Oh,
like, okay, it's 100 US, so it's like 145-ish Canadian, 150,
buddy.
Okay, Dan's Mr. Calculator. But at the end of the day, I'm like, still, that's pretty cheap considering this is like Stanley Cup Finals. So, like, a lot of sports are having this problem. It's not just one league. So the way baseball yes, Adam, basically the way baseball does it, except what I don't like about the way baseball does it, I don't feel enough teams in baseball make the playoffs.
Right.
But yeah, basically the way the wild card spot is done in the MLB, a mini best of 3.
Why not do both? Like, I think the season needs 84 games.
I don't.
With the more teams in the league, right? You got 34 teams. You got 34 teams and 32 teams in the league. Now, at one point, you only had 26 teams. So you got 8 more teams. You got to start adding some more games, in my opinion.
I want more playoff games, not more.
And you think we add more games, then we can add more in-conference games. We can see another battle of Toronto versus Boston this year. You know, that's awesome. I'm totally down for that.
And then we'd see more like Battle of Albertas and that sort of thing. That's what they're going for.
Yeah, 100%.
I just think, again, the playoffs are so much more exciting than the regular season.
And then you look at a team like Utah, for example, a new team that's trying to get bums into seats, or Seattle, whatever. They might want an extra game when Ovechkin comes into town or Crosby comes into town. Right?
Funny enough, Dan, it's actually not tickets. It's not the newer markets that are struggling with seats. It's you know, the Winnipeg Jets, and straight up until the CFL season is done, the Winnipeg Jets struggle to getting butts in seats. Because I'm sorry, right now in Winnipeg, if it's a Thursday night and you either can go see the Winnipeg Jets or the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, people are going to see the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You can hate me in the comments all you want. That's just a fact.
Well, like, Winnipeg doesn't have enough money to support two teams. That's a big comment. There we go.
There's nothing quite like being at a baseball game. You got to go to a hockey game in person, pretty similar. Nicer, of course, but going to the Diamond is magical. Such a different experience. Some of the best memories are at both Astro games and the Edmonton Minor games, the Riverhawks. I will say, going to a baseball game, I'm going to keep this a buck here. I don't watch a lot of baseball at home. Like, I watch it enough, but I love going to the ballpark. I do agree. It's a fun day. Like, Morpho and I went to a Jays game, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, right? Mm-hmm, we had crappy seats, but it was still a great time.
You don't need good seats. You got the roof open.
It's just a vibe.
You can still see everything. Like, you know, we're lucky in Toronto. We have an amazing ball diamond in Toronto, one of the best in the league, in my opinion. But that's something, you know, speaking of now that the hockey's slowing down and stuff, moving forward in baseball season, do the fans want to cover more baseball topics here on the island, right? We've experimented with doing some more Blue Jays stuff.
And you know what, too? Remember, too, if there's certain sports you're interested about getting into the app, you can always speak to us to get your own teams and leagues into the Sttreakers gaming app. Plus those like minor league baseball leagues. We have the IBL in the app at the moment because that's here locally in Ontario. But if you're looking for, you know, to get something else in there, don't hesitate to send us a message or anything along those lines.
Yeah, 100%. Because I didn't realize Edmonton had a minor baseball team. That's awesome.
Edmonton has a lot, Dan. There's a lot more in Edmonton.
They do, yeah.
It's not just a mall in the Oilers and the Elks.
Huge.
Which stadium?
The football stadium in Edmonton is
nuts. Commonwealth, yeah.
Holy cow, it's a big stadium. In that hockey arena, I think it's called Wager Center. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful hockey arena they just built there.
Now, we're getting pretty close to kickoff tonight for the BC Lions versus the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So unless anyone else has something else they want to say in the comments about what we've been talking about, I think we'll move on to the Canadian Football League. And we have a big game tonight between, exactly, Dan, not just a mall with a roller coaster. Apparently that mall is really cool.
It's one of those things you gotta see at once, you know? It's pretty cool.
So you're saying, I think BC, all I'm going to say is I think BC has to win this one because I'm going to say this right now. I don't think the Elks are that far away from getting a win soon. They pushed Winnipeg and it was tied until the fourth quarter, and then Zach Claros did Zach Claros things. But I think the Elks are close, and I think the Elks will, I'm going to say this now, the Elks will win their next game versus the Ottawa Red Blacks. Dan, I'm sending you a rivalry for that after this.
Okay, yeah. Well,
I
think I already sent you a rivalry today, Jacob. I think Saskatchewan is going to win.
Okay, Dan, I'm shocked by that, though, because any chance you have to criticize Jake Mayer, who is not the mayor of Calgary or the mayor of Regina, you do. So why do you think Jake Mayer can get this done? Like, are you just more expecting Saskatchewan?
I don't think it's a case of Jake. I don't think it's a case of Jake Mayer getting it done. I think it's a case of Saskatchewan, such a good team around him. They have Ouellette and Carey as their running backs. Which
I don't think Carey's playing again today. I think he's
okay, but it's Ouellette and some other. Who's the other guy?
Hugh Hontondo.
Either way, we're both very good running backs. So I suggest a very solid one game from Saskatchewan. Yeah, I think Saskatchewan, we saw in the Argos last week with Alford. Alford, a special team unit, is good enough to flip the game around, that's for sure. So I really think
right here, I'm taking the BC Lions tonight, not the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Oh, boy, okay.
I think Nathan Rourke is going to be very, very, very determined in this one.
Well, we'll see who gets the Sttreaker points.
And I want to go over some of the props here that's in the Sttreakers app right now. Will the BC Lions rush for at least 90 yards in this game?
No.
Yeah.
190. That's still a big game.
Yeah. But I think what she's saying is, though, it's like Trevor Harris can throw for 300-400 yards a game. And remember, too, speaking of Trevor Harris is injured. So I know. Making a very big difference for this team.
I know. This is what my gut's telling me. I don't have a magical answer of why. My gut's just telling me that Saskatchewan's going to win. I said it coming into training camp. I wasn't sold on Saskatchewan. But you watch them on the field, I'm like, okay, this is a real deal team this year. They could beat Winnipeg for the West. I think we're that good.
So some other questions here. Will the Rough Riders get at least 2 interceptions?
Yes.
I also said yes for that one. BC Lions will score at least 3 touchdowns.
No.
I said yes. Rough Riders rushing for 130 yards.
Oh, yeah.
I also said yes to that one. And the reason why I'm taking the BC Lions, I'll be honest, I think Saskatchewan easily could have lost that game to Toronto last week.
True.
And right now, BC, I think, is a better team than Toronto just because they're healthy.
No. I think Toronto is better than their 0-3 record. I really do.
So do I, but they're banged up. They're still missing Kelly, McCann, and McManus as 3 major starters, and DeMarcus Christmas. So 4 major starters are out of your lineup.
I don't think BC is relatively healthy. I really don't. I think BC is going to be a weak team. I'm shocked that Calgary started off so weak and Edmonton started off so weak. But I think in the long haul, BC is going to be a weak team.
Okay, when I did the pool, I'm also in a CFL pick'em pool, by the way, because I'm just everywhere. In the pool, I took Saskatchewan because I thought Trevor Harris was healthy. And the app, I've changed my mind to the BC Lions because Trevor Harris is injured. If Trevor Harris is healthy, Saskatchewan, I wouldn't have a doubt in my mind. I think BC would be going to 1-3.
Well, Jacob, you just have that because you don't want to lose. So either way, you win somewhere.
Actually become a self-proclaimed sports analyst.
Exactly, 100%.
So I think, though, for BC, I'm curious if you agree with me, Dan, and same in the comments. Do we think that Butler needs to start getting more involved in the offense?
100%. If BC is going to win this game, Butler's got to step it up, I think.
Well, I think then, too, it's just taking pressure away from Nathan Rourke, right?
Sure.
Now, I don't think Nathan Rourke is a terrible quarterback by any means. I do want to put that out there right away. I know you do. I think Rourke can be very good. However, I do not want him having to drop back to pass 35, 40 times a game. I would like to see him maybe drop back 25 to 28 times a game. And to do that, you need James Butler to have a bigger performance. Butler's been underperforming since he came in to the BC Lions. You look at what AJ Ouellette's doing in Saskatchewan, and you look at what James Butler is doing in BC. And actually, even you look at Ottawa's last big win versus the Stamps, it was Stanback and Onababoye that really got the job done in that game. People seem to think the Canadian Football League, you can't win by running the ball. And that's not true. You just need to get 6 yards per carry, realistically. If you can get anywhere from that 5 to 6 yards a carry, the running game can be very effective to keep you in second and medium.
I would say even 4 yards a carry with 3 downs.
4 is tough, though, Dan, because then you're in a 2nd and 6, which is a passing down always. If you can get to a 2nd and 4, then it keeps the defense guessing.
Yeah, true.
And to a good running game can open up the play action, which Nathan Rourke is very good at play action. Because Rourke's got some good speed, he's able to fake the run. And let's say the running back's going to the left, and he can roll to the right and then either, but depending, he might have a lane just to go run for himself, not lane dash and dash go, but a lane to some open yardage, or he is very accurate at throwing on the run. I'm very curious to see what Jake Maier looks like tonight. Number one, I'm curious if he dyed his hair orange. I doubt it. But he dyed it green, I guess, being a Rough Rider. But I want to see how Jake Maier bounces back, because I've always felt Jake Maier was held back by Dave Dickinson in Calgary. You can disagree with me there if you would like. Because whenever Dave Dickinson opened up the playbook for Jake Maier, I felt he was better. So I'm very curious to see Corey Mace's offense, how he does with letting Jake Maier just throw the ball a bit. And if AJ Ouellette can have a good game tonight, that's just going to make it a lot easier for Jake Maier. If AJ Ouellette can be running 6-7 yards a carry, which is something he's capable of doing, right? We see it. Let me double check the depth chart. I don't believe Kadeem Carey is playing. But Dan, I still am very so like you're confident with Saskatchewan even without their stud quarterback in Trevor Harris that they could still get it done.
100%. I think our special team unit is probably the best in the CFL this year, and having a special team unit like that can flip a game around. I think Saskatchewan's defense is extremely solid, and I think Saskatchewan has a very deep running game, so we don't really need a top star quarterback.
Kadeem Carey is not playing today. He is yet again and still staying in the practice squad.
That sucks.
And also, too, when you talk about the running game, don't forget about Tommy Stevens in Saskatchewan. The best, in my opinion, the best short yardage quarterback in football.
Oh, guy's a beast.
He's a beast. It's kind of interesting seeing Mayer and Stevens reunited, coming back into
reunited, and it feels so good.
Other notes, by the way, too, about the Rough Riders, still no Kiefer Schaefer-Baker, which
that's a big loss for them.
That's a big loss, but you've been seeing, and there's no Emelis either. So now Keyshawn Johnson's back. So that's what I'm saying. I think BC can win this game just because your offense is decimated.
Right.
For Saskatchewan. But you're right, Dan. Mario Alford can get you really good field position, and maybe he's used in the offense a little more tonight, right? Like he has explosive speed.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of losses there for the Saskatchewan Rough Riders.
To be honest, with this game, you couldn't go long picking either one of these teams. I don't think Nathan York has it in him to be a top star quarterback. And I think Saskatchewan doesn't just want to be a good team this year. I think they want to be the team this year. And we've seen that so far this year. And I think we're going to continue that.
But, I mean, you look, though, BC, though, I think they're better than their record. I do. Although, as much as I projected to go into the year, I thought this might be a long year for BC. Mm-hmm. They looked really good week one against... Actually, this will be the real test. For BC, was Winnipeg that good, or was BC that bad in those two games against Winnipeg? Because, remember, they beat Edmonton. But I would like to add the Elks and the Lions were neck and neck going into the second half. And then the Lions kind of took over that game. Dan, she's trying to make you feel better.
Oh, thank you.
To make Dan feel better, I did make Olet captain of my CFL fantasy this week.
Nice.
But it's only because I messed up making Gittins my flex. That was making Gittins. Gittins had a rough game. And
he did.
Actually, I'm curious what comment sections thinks. I think Curly Gittins Jr. has been extremely underperforming, and I wonder how much longer he stays in the lineup for the Elks. He's not jumping for those balls.
The Argos to bring him back.
The Argos don't need more wide receivers, Dan. If anything, if the Toronto Argos, they need more depth at the running back position. Although I do think Kevin Brown will get used more tomorrow, which will be at the game in Ottawa tomorrow. So we will be posting up lots of content that day. We're leaving the Hammer Facebook, around 6 to 7 in the morning.
Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, and Sttreakers Podcast. Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. So keep your eyes open. Wide open. That's right. Talk about living the family, community lifestyle of being a sports fan. So
I will say one thing that'll give Saskatchewan advantage tonight. The game is at Mosaic Stadium, one of the hardest stadiums to play at in the Canadian Football League. Them and Winnipeg are the two loudest buildings.
I was going to say, only one might be louder be Winnipeg.
Don't tell a Riders fan that.
Yeah, I know.
They will not be happy with you, Dan. But yeah, I think this is going to be a great game today. I'm thinking, I'm going to say this now, Dan. I think we should do a post game. So I think this is going to be.
I was going to be taking the words out of my mouth. I totally agreed with you. I thought it was a nice early evening. Hopefully, it's not a 4-hour episode like last night, since we have a
5-hour episode.
Well, almost 5, yeah, because we got to hit the road early for Ottawa tomorrow, because unlike most people who are driving there in one day, so
it's not that far though.
No, it's only like 4 or 5 hours. So
yeah, we'll be fine. We got 2 drivers.
That's what's nice with the East Coast. All the teams are very close together versus the West are very spread out.
Yes. But I think it's time that we sign off for a bit. We're going to watch the game. We'll come back for a post-game show. And who knows, maybe there'll be some more NHL trades to break down then too, because it's been interesting. And also,
remember, Connor Timmins got traded to Buffalo today, which I didn't see that coming, to be honest, because he fit really well in Pittsburgh.
They're bringing, because they're trying to move Bowen Byram. They need someone to fill that role. And I think Connor Timmins is a little I think he's low-key underrated.
Oh, I agree with you. I like Connor Timmins. I liked him as a Leaf, so.
He went meatloaf for you. He went meatloaf. Took the word. You know what's funny, actually, too? Every single time we recorded pre-records with Lane for like 3 weeks straight, it seemed to be we were having meatloaf for dinner that night. Yes. Like the food, not the artist. And Lane's like, you guys only eat meatloaf? It's like, no, but Dan does love
Jacob loves meatloaf.
So do you.
If Jacob doesn't get his meatloaf, he becomes a Quinky Jakey.
Oh, but it is time we're going to sign off so we can catch this awesome game. We'll be here for the post-game show. Remember to stay locked into our social medias. We will be doing a free agent frenzy special, which we're going to have different guests on and off throughout the show. It's going to be a real humdinger. So thank you very much for watching the Sttreakers Island Podcast Live Edition. I'm the self-proclaimed sports analyst. We have Mr. More for your money.
Woo!
And we'll see you after the game.
Bye-bye.